Hello all, today we will talk about the smartphone industry in European Union. My friends Orhun Erdoğan, Doğan İnce and me, Can Özsoy, will present you this topic. Well, the first question is why are we using smartphones in our daily life? Mainly it's because today's world is the need of communication is much more than the past, and we are using email, SMS, the social networks, and so many other stuff, and we need to be in that social life inside of the computers, the internet, whatever. We need our smartphones. That's why we are using smartphones too much in these days. And there are three generic strategies about this industry. First one is cost leadership, second one is differentiation, and the third one is focus. Now I'm going to talk about the cost leadership. Cost leadership is the way to make smartphones accessible to a wider population by reducing costs. It means that you are selling smartphones for cheaper and much more people can easily buy it. And the second one is differentiation. Apple and Samsung using differentiation strategies since they entered the market, because Samsung and Apple, they are trying to make their brand and products, unique, and people will want to buy it only because it's unique and they have something that a production of like latest technology. And the third one is focus, where to the it's an English brand. They are from England. They are producing smartphones for more like rich people, and this sector is focuses handmade telephones. It's another kind of strategy.
Yes, and we prepare the port analysis for the analyzing this sector clearly. For example, we have some traits for the new entrants and the substitutes. These traits, the
it needs high capital requirements.
Yes, this sector wants to high capital requirements because this sector has so high research and development process, and also there are so many strong brand names in this sector, and they are so powerful.
Yeah.
They are old and
they have the power.
Yeah, they have power, and this entry barrier is so high in this sector. For this, also there are so many different substitutes in this sector, and they have a not efficient price policy. Also, in this sector, the customers are so powerful because there are so many different brands and they want to use the cheapest one.
Yeah, best one.
Yeah,
cheapest one. They can change their minds.
Yes.
Power of suppliers. There's also that, like high competition among suppliers. Like
yes.
Suppliers also have the power to, separate their customers. They are not focusing only one customer group.
Yeah. Also, the producers has some advantage in this sector. For example, there are so many substitutes, and they can prefer the cheapest one in this many substitutes. The smartphone sector is a high involvement sector in the world because they want to less frequently purchase rate, and in this the sector, the expensive in how can I say?
It's expensive in nature.
Yes.
Because the products they are using to produce the smartphones, it's expensive.
Yes.
Like the cameras, like the RAM and another stuff. It's expensive.
Producing smartphones want to more time, want to more money, and more capital and labor.
Yeah.
Also, the smartphones
changed
changing,
really much. Like, do you remember the old ones? Like it has antenna like this.
Yeah.
You need to do it like this and try to talk. But nowadays it's like, and it was really big.
It's bigger than
like this big. But now it fit in our pockets.
Yes.
It changed a lot.
And there are so many different trends in the world and in the Europe. For example, nowadays the European Union people wants to the bigger screens, the more larger screens for their smartphone. Also, they want to
fastest internet.
Yes, for example, 4G or 5G. And in the European Union, nowadays the people wants to the cheaper models
Models,
than the other models,
ones.
because demand for cheap phones in the global market is increasing nowadays.
And also nowadays, middle class devices have started to prefer it in European Union because the expensive ones are too much expensive and people can't buy it. That's why nowadays they are using the middle class phones,
Yes.
in European Union.
According to research, the forthcoming years, the new trends are thinner and faster or smarter smartphones. Also, new and
Innovative designs,
design. Yes.
and there is also will be the faster chips and the improvements about the
Virtual reality and
Virtual
other
reality,
stuff. Yeah.
or artificial intelligence. Yes, because
and there is also quick charging. The option will be
Available in the
yeah,
coming
yeah.
years.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you remember the 19s, the first smartphones? Like I don't, but my father does, and he told me that like it was too big. And the first one, I think it was IBM produced the first
yes,
phone. Then in 2000, I remember Ericsson and Nokia and some other phones like that. They weren't smartphones, and in 2010s, all we are using the iPhone and Samsung, the bigger screens, the other stuff, and like that.
actually, iPhone is the first smartphone in the world.
Yeah.
Was the first smartphone.
In 2007.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will also talk about the biggest brands in the European market. In the market, the biggest share is the Samsungs with the 30%, and the second one is the Apple with the 27%, and Huawei and LG follows them with their 7 and 5% shares in market. And if we talk about the sales
and other stuff, employees,
yeah.
and their factories. How is that? Samsung. How many employees they have?
Samsung has a 89,000 employees, and the net
Revenue?
Samsung has an $22.1 billion revenue,
Too much.
and the net sales amount is the
317 million units.
yeah.
Cool.
Samsung is the biggest smartphone brands in European Union.
Really? And Apple? What about Apple?
And Apple is the second biggest. Apple has a second biggest market share. They have 123,000 employees, and their revenue is the $48.3 billion. I'm sorry, and their net sales amount of smartphone is the 216 million
units. Yeah,
units,
it's too
yeah.
much.
And Huawei follows them the third. They have the 170,000 employees, and their revenue is $4.4 billion, and their net sales of the smartphone is the 153,000
million units.
Yeah.
million units.
Per year.
And for Nokia, they have 102,761 employees, and their revenue is 1.4 billion, and they have sold 185.6 million units.
Also, Nokia is the European brands.
Yeah, from Finland. Yeah.
If we talk about scandals in this sector in recent years, the first one is the newest one, actually, the Apple's software problem. Apple accept that the recent updates for the smartphones are the
making slow the oldest phones, right?
Making slow their smartphones.
I think that's because they are trying to make people buy their new phones.
Yes, it wants to create a dependency for the
for the new ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the second scandal is also the Apple's iCloud problem. There was a leak on the iCloud, so most of the famous people's iCloud account is leaked into the public, and
that naked pictures and other things.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And the third one is Samsung's Note 7 problem. There was a problem in the battery. It goes to
It exploded. right?
exploding. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember that that there was one time they weren't taking that Samsung Note 7 to the planes.
Yeah, airplanes.
Yeah.
For security.
And this is end of our talk, end of our presentation. Thank you for listening
for
us.
listening.
Listeners.
Thanks.